Dawn Fuller Ball.
So Dawn, what brings you out here today for the block party on Martin Street?
Well, as you probably know, Clean Slate is an initiative of a Better Way Foundation. And the name Clean Slate actually came from legislation that we submitted 2 legislative sessions ago, in the 2006 legislative session, where we wanted to make it easier for convicted felons to get pardons if they'd already served all of their sentence and they'd been out of prison for some time, working and out of trouble and everything, and we want to make it a little easier for them to get pardoned so that they could become a more productive part of society. And so I'm out here basically to just support what they've been doing. They've been working on a lot of things that are really cool, like Ban the Box, which is employment discrimination against ex-offenders, and three strikes, which a number of groups worked on and were very successful in combating that. And I just wanted to come out and show my support for not only the committee and the work that it does, but also the community. So as you notice, we're in Hartford's North End, and bizarre things like taxi cabs don't want to come to this part of the city, even though I feel completely safe standing out here right now, and I actually came to a meeting here the other evening. Pizza folks won't deliver to this part of the city. So I just kind of wanted to show my support.
Why do you think it's important to have an event like this where it's a mixture of party, celebration, but also continuing to organize people, getting people to sign on to petitions and things like that? What is it about this type of event that is effective?
Well, I think the thing about doing things in the summer and making it festive, having food and having music and having people around, is it opens people up to a variety of possibilities, and it allows people from all walks of life to come together and have a discussion about what's going on in the community, and about the weather, and about just everything. And so I think that events like this have a lot of different ways in which it benefits the community.
You mentioned this sort of, you alluded to the stereotype about the Hartford's North End, and again, here we are in one of those areas where, especially in the media, the mainstream media, this is marginalized, stereotype, that sort of thing. What can be done, or what do you see people doing to undo some of those stereotypes?
Well, unfortunately, there is a lot of prejudice, and I don't want to put all of the blame on the media, but I think that that's a large part of it, where things that are bad that happen are sensationalized and replayed over and over again, not only in the quick feeds that advertise the upcoming news events, but also actually on the actual news programs. And so people, all over the country hear about these bad things that happen and think that it's the norm instead of being the exception. So again, events like this bring people from all over, because we have people that don't live in Hartford that are here, that live in West Hartford, or some of the surrounding areas, that have come up here and want to be a part of this and want to be a part of the community and know that it is the exception and not the norm, and that people aren't comfortable with some of the bad things that are happening, and they want things to change. This is a perfect opportunity to have those kind of conversations.
And just one last question. You mentioned the Better Way Foundation. You're very involved with that. What's up next for Better Way Foundation?
A Better Way Foundation is going to continue to do a lot of things through its committees, like the Clean Slate Committee. There is a new initiative that we're working on called a Law and Justice Commission, where we have people that are working on different disciplines, like a drug policy discipline and an education discipline and a juvenile justice discipline, and learning more about things that are happening and talking to people in the community about things that are happening, so that the only source of information is not the media that tends to sensationalize the bad, but it's the source of information comes from people that have read reports and have talked to folks and have the ability to go out in the community and have a conversation and let them know what's really going on. So that's kind of what's happening now, and also getting ready for the next legislative session. We've been having community conversations to kind of make a decision on, what we want to do next.
Great, thanks, Dawn.
You're welcome.
I'm Sarah Farah. I'm from the Clean Slate Committee.
Okay, and what brings you out here today for the block party?
Well, I think when there's a victory and the community gets something that's going to help itself, we need to celebrate, because we need to remember our victories so that we can build on them.
What got you involved with the issues and Clean Slate Committee in the first place?
Well, I was at a transgender day of remembrance, remembering transgender people who've been killed because of hate crimes, and someone told a story about a transgender youth who was incarcerated at the moment and couldn't, and I just felt horrible for the person because transgender people are often put in the wrong gender facilities, and it just, anyways, the next week was Thanksgiving, and I felt so guilty celebrating with my family a holiday when this person was not able to be with their family for the holiday. And that just got me really dedicated to helping anyone who is incarcerated and can't spend time with their families. And that's basically how it happened.
That's interesting how the plights of differing groups, transgender community, people of color, ex-felons, sort of comes together like this. Was that the first time you kind of were making those connections, or do you find that those are easy connections to make in your own worldview?
Well, first I have to take issue. I prefer the word previously incarcerated person over ex-felon. I mean, a lot of people are incarcerated for non-violent offenses, even people incarcerated for violent offenses. A lot of them were in self-defense. 80% of incarcerated women have been victims of sexual abuse or physical abuse. So I just think that's important to make people aware of.
Sure.
I was not aware until I started getting active and working for my transgender community how many other oppressed communities really are going through such similar struggles and have such similar issues. Both people of color and transgender people often face a lot of poverty, and because of that there's a lot of survival crimes that we all get involved in. Or because we're so stigmatized or looked at in such negative ways. Transgender people are sometimes stigmatized and bullied. People of color, like black people, are sometimes shown always as violent in movies and things like that, and portrayed that way. And this sort of hits us deep inside, and a lot of us get involved in drugs because of that. And that's another reason we get incarcerated. So all of us are dealing with poverty and oppression issues that I think make us all much more likely to be incarcerated.
Right. It seems to me that there is a trend of bringing together groups who are experiencing similar types of repression, oppression, that sort of thing. Do you see this as a trend? Is this 21st century activism now, bringing together these groups which 20, 30 years ago may have been hostile to each other?
Well, my understanding, because as I've started to get involved with multi-issue groups, I've wondered that myself, and I've looked at history, and from what I've gotten from history is that there's sort of trends. There's been periods in history like during, well, there's just been times in history when people have been much more cooperative, different groups, and then other times when we've been much more separated, and I think that, so I don't know if I would call it a trend, but I would say that overall, all of us don't have enough resources to fight our battles on our own, and I think the only way we can defeat those who are holding us down is if we join together and create all of the oppressed groups need to stand together so that we're big enough and strong enough to fight those who are oppressing us.
Great, thanks so much for talking to me today.
Sure, you're welcome.